Welcome to the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman, the podcast where we deal with the early life of my alter ego, J.R. And now we're going to be doing the story. This episode is called The Instigators. The date of this story climaxes on March 1st of 1996. Top story of that week, Bill Clinton goes before cameras and declares his support for school uniforms. U.S. and UN peacekeepers in Bosnia continues to be a controversy in the political landscape of 1996. And the flat tax continues to be an economic issue. Now, here we go. We are on the 24th of February. Okay, so it's 8 a.m. No, 6:30 a.m. Jim is speaking at a rally at St. Gabriel's Assemblies of Christ Shrine in Baton Rouge. The rally is about faith-based initiatives for small business. Okay, so it's 8 a.m. At the same time, Betsy calls the ranch. Okay, so who's having breakfast at the ranch? You gotta think about it, okay? Donuts, cinnamon rolls, maybe some pancakes and waffles. It's J.R., Kristen, and coming to visit is Amy Kathleen. And Betsy says, she's like, look, I need you guys to please say some prayers for Elizabeth Marie, Joe Sr. and Rosie have been calling, worried. And Amy Kathleen's like, I'm so sorry, Aunt Betsy. And JR is pissed, and rightfully so. He says, you know what? I've had it. He says, Danny Larson is her advisor. And he's giving her hell. I'm going to do something about it. And so she's like trying to stop it. JR, calm down. Don't do anything foolish. Basically, Christine's like, don't be a jerk. And so JR's like, no, I'm really going to do something about this. He's like, Daddy's going to hear from me about this. No one fouls up anyone from my family. You notice in the last episode of the last scene of the last episode, how JR tore up his wedding invitation from Jennifer Bowers and threw it in the fireplace, cellophane and all. Okay, he'd been kind of mealy mouth, but he knows with his family, that means Hendrick Foods and the air charter is on the line. Everything is on the line. Okay, so now it's the 24th. It's 12 p.m. Eastern. And in the Oval Office, President Clinton is meeting with Leon Drew and Dick Morris. And and the president's like, what's got you two all hobbled up in a lather this morning? And Leon Drew says, it's like this. So he turns on the TV set, and it's obvious. JR's father speaking. He spoke in a rally in Baton Rouge on his behalf. He's been on the Andrew House show. And the president's like, well, nothing new. And Dick Morris, he speaks up. He stood up, he says, he's been talking about going on the Blake Carter show. He's dangerous now. But he's grieving over his aunt. And so the president, he takes his classic cigar, puts it in his mouth, and lights it and says, "To hell with all men." What he says is nothing to me. And Dick Morris is flabbergasted. He said, "You don't really care?" "Well, I think you'd better." He's been courting people like Jack and Lucy Robinson. And tonight, he has dinner with Constantine Bush. And Clinton lets out this huge, loud cuss word. He says, "There's no other way to distract him, even when he's home from Washington." Okay, so now it's 12 p.m. Central. And at the mansion in Gainesville, at the Mary Jane Mansion, after relaxation, returned from the rally, Jim and his dream team, along with Betsy, to have a massage. And he and Betsy now frolicked in the pool, like they did when they first got married. JR, of course, Granddad had pool etiquette for man and woman. No kissing or making out in the pool. When Granddad died, Daddy got rid of that rule. When they sat down for lunch, Thomas called, and Betsy's angry, okay? He's like, "Look, she's like, look, tell your hussy fiance to stop spreading lies." Because you remember in the last episode that Rachel had gone and told Betsy about the story that her mother, Elizabeth Swain, with her father, had her mother's lover killed in order to end the affair. Okay? And this is going to be an interesting thread for the rest of the thing. Because Tom wants to apologize. And Betsy's like, "I want nothing to hear of it." Okay, so it's the next day. It's 5 a.m. They had flown back to Dallas late that night, so now it's a Hendrick estate in Gainesville. Him and Betsy finished making love, and they're getting ready to have coffee made by Maria, the morning servant. Most of his dream team had gone back to their main hometown. Dave Rosenberg returned to Florida, and Grace Arthur settled back in 14 Heritage Gate in Chevy Chase. Jim agreed to let her do that, And then Avery Covington was on the plane heading to his hometown in Amarillo. Steve Moore flew back to his home in Pasadena, California. Paul Kampmeyer, he was staying in D.C., and Michael Pierce returned back to his home in Chicago until Jim saw fit to return everybody back together. Okay, so now it's 9:30 a.m. JR and Amy Kathleen, they're at Modesto Heights Baptist Church. The little country church just by the ranch, and everything. But it's 1 p.m., and Fabian packed most their luggage back into Ken's truck to get in the car and go back to Lubbock. Now it's 5 p.m., and dinner was at the Holy Spirit Club. Meantime, JR is sitting down in his dorm room crying. Because he's got this pesky paper to finish writing, okay? And all last week, Doctors Wild and Harmon and Friedrich McCabe on his case. And so, Stoney walks in. He's like, "What's wrong, JR?" And he says, "It ain't nothing. It's my paper." So Stoney's like, "Come on, let's have some dinner." Now, around that same time, Elizabeth Marie is sitting with her advisor. And she's like, "Look, it's Sunday evening. Let me go home." He said, "One more glass of wine, and then I want you to go to the library." She's like, "This is abuse, okay? There's no excuse for this." She said, "My family knows powerful people." All right, so now we're on March 1st. JR, if you will. Sure. What happened the next few days was unreal. I called Daddy that Saturday, the Saturday while he was in Baton Rouge, to tell him what the advisor had done to Elizabeth Marie. He called and yanked some money from a future endowment, demanding the removal of the tenure of Dr. Danny Larson. The memorial service for Aunt Esther went well. The wake was at the Hendrick Estate in Gainesville. The next evening, Daddy was briefed by oil giant Gordon Deco, who attended the budget meeting on behalf of Daddy. At the same time, on the Tuesday the 27th on Capitol Hill, Austin, Texas, Republican Congressman Mike Bradley introduced an access to education for small business measure, not knowing that aligning with one of Daddy's political measures could kill his career. Daddy got on the air with Blake Carter and Greg Sanders at the same time. After Daddy called Odessa University College, I called them, yanking any preferential fares for Hendrick charters for athletic and academic competitions until I saw that Dr. Danny Larson was removed from being an advisor, academic advisor, and professor. Okay, so it's 9 a.m. on March the 1st. Okay. Amy Kathleen gives a tip to Christine where she is. Elizabeth Marie is. So she skipped school. Christine skipping school every once in a while. So she got marches in Odessa University College. She asked the professor where he is, and she says, well, she's in that room. Okay, she walks in. Elizabeth Marie prints out her final thesis. And then Christine saw that she cut her wrist. So Christine grabs Elizabeth Marie's Motorola flip phone and she calls for an ambulance. She staples the papers together for the thesis, and then she gives the professor saying the what for, saying he's had. And, of course, through the power of the Dixie Mafia, Dr. Danny Larson is arrested. JR, he didn't make arraignment. On March the 4th, as he emerged from the jail, some unknown Dixie Mafia assassin connected to some friends of Daddy clipped him. A few days later, the assassin was killed, and his body was not found until a little over a week ago, almost 2 weeks ago. Okay, so now it's 11 a.m. JR is in advocacy class. Dr. Harmon laid into him over his obsolete advocacy model. And, of course, JR's upset. Okay, he had heard the night before, after returning from the Holy Spirit Club, that Brent had currently told Kristen that he couldn't see her anymore. That their strategy had to work because he had to get back to his girlfriend. Okay, so it's 1 p.m. Jay arrives at Kristen's dorm to find her crying. And Kristen's like, I can't wait much longer. Brent is going back to Jesse. I need you now, JR. Please tell me you're done with that paper. And poor Kristen. I feel bad for her, but what could I do? And JR's like, already done. The only problem is my damn advisor is working on some polling in Abernathy. I'll turn it in Monday. And trust me, give me some time. You'll be all mine. I sat there and held her close for what must have been about more than an hour. It seems that, unbeknownst to me, Cupid had used Brent's little arrow to make me and Kristen fall in love. Okay, so it's 1:45 p.m. Christine's out of algebra class at Midway Prep, and she's met by Joe Smith and this other guy named Toroni. See a little bit of Book of Mormon analogy there. And so Mr. Smith says, our boss, John Henry, wanted us to apologize to you personally for the pain he's caused you and your family. And so Toroni says, we are part of his crack research staff on this blog of his. We have a check here for you for $3 billion. Divided between you and your family. As our apology. We hope that your brother will accept Jennifer's wedding invitation. That's moot. And so Christine calls the TV station to give them the scoop. Okay, so now it's 3 p.m. Central. Jim and Betsy are, along with Claude, they're entertaining Bill and Peggy Britley at the Hendrick Mansion in Gainesville. Evidently, Jim was ready to move to the second phase of his plan. A plan he would have as an outgoing bureaucrat, finishing strong regarding what Clinton or the Congress may do. So at Jim's there, it's obvious he's had a few cognacs. Okay, so it's 5 p.m. Alright. Frank goes to see Elizabeth Marie at Pratt Memorial Behavioral Health in Lubbock. And he's like, I'm sorry. Actually, I couldn't see the warning signs. But we can still be something together. And Elizabeth Marie's like, she's like crying. It's like, no, Frank, it's over. Don't you see? Don't you see? But when I needed you, you ditched me for Evelyn. So no, Frank. We can't be together anymore. If you never need me as a friend, call me. I'm moving to a firm in Richmond, Virginia. If you need anything, please call me. Until next time, goodbye. After dinner, Elizabeth Marie goes into her room and finds all kinds of flowers. Many assumed that it was from Frank. But Christine said it was from her friend Muriel back in Houston. Now, Muriel had been with Elizabeth Marie in Washington, D.C. She kind of encouraged her to see Dave Smith. Jared, what do you think? I think she'd been better off with Dave Smith than she ever would have been with that crazy Frank. I mean, let's face it. We could have easily given him the bail. I know. Okay, so it's 9 p.m. Christine and David, they're talking in the room. And David's like, oh my, Christine. You could have told me the truth. And Christine said, didn't think it mattered. Anyway, I asked Abby if I could fly to London during spring break. I'm going with you, but I have to go home. We leave on the 12th, Christine said. It's going to be an educational experience. Donna will be our chaperone. I want to know about this link up between Jennifer Bowers and John Henry. Now, at the same time, Amy Kathleen is talking to her fiance, Greg. And, you know, it's a few months before their wedding. And Amy Kathleen's like, you know, I've been getting these notes from Aunt Betsy's secretary, Bethany Horowitz. And it's about an invitation JR got from Jennifer Bowers and John Henry. And Greg said, well, can you tell me what happened? And Amy Kathleen said, well, it just tore him up. To find out that John Henry was bothering his sister. He doesn't care about owning all these companies for power to one up his father. He cares about his family. That's what he cares about. Okay, so ratings time. I give this a 3.3 root beers, a $3 billion check from Joe Smith and Turoni, and let me think what sounds like the third thing to do. And a torn up wedding invitation in the fireplace. JR, I give it 3.3 root beers, a chance to hold Kristen one more time, and a torn wedding invitation in the fireplace. Okay. Till next time. I hope you enjoy listening to the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, become a part of the adventure. This is the J.R. Hendrick Empowerment Network saying until next time, get ready for the rest of the story. It gets more bumpy from here.